Alright, so we're multiplying and dividing one-step equations today. So nothing is really different other than the fact that you're multiplying or dividing instead of adding and subtracting. Okay. So we're still using that inverse operation. So if it's giving me a multiplication problem, in order to solve, I'm using the inverse, which would be what? Division. The inverse of division is multiplication. So you're still doing that opposite operation, the inverse operation, okay? And you are still checking your work as well. So once you find your solution, you're plugging that solution back in to check it and make sure you did it correctly. Alright, so number 1 says 5c equals negative 65. So what does it mean right here by 5c? It means 5 times c. So in order to get c alone, I have to do the inverse operation, which is what? Division. So that means I'm going to divide by 5. If I divide the left by 5, I also have to divide the right by 5. So because I did the opposite, 5 divided by 5, that gives me 1. 1. It gives me 0 if I'm adding or subtracting, but when I'm multiplying and dividing, it gives me 1, which is just 1c. So those 5's cancel each other out. And then negative 65 divided by 5 is what? Negative 13. So c is equal to negative 13. I want to check it and make sure that I'm correct. So that means I have 5 times negative 13. So what is 5 times negative 13?
Negative 65.
Negative 65. Is that what I was shooting for in my original problem?
Yes.
Yes. So I know that it checks out. Alright, number 2. Negative 42 equals negative 7 times m. So I'm solving for m. So what do I need to do? Yeah, divide by negative 7. And you're dividing both sides by negative 7. So I know on the right-hand side I'm just left with an m. What do I have on the left? Positive 6, right? It's a negative divided by a negative, so it should be a positive. So then to check it, I want to make sure that negative 7 times 6 is negative 42. Is it? Yes. Remember that this, when I rewrite the original equation, it's not telling me that negative 7 times 6 is equal to negative 42. Remember that the goal of this is to make sure that the left equals the right. So you know that your left is always going to be negative 42. That's why you have to add this other step down here too, because you're making sure that on both sides of that equal sign, it is equal. So you have to do the negative 7 times 6 to see if you get negative 42. And you want it to match the other side. Okay? A lot of you are just giving me that one step and you're saying, yep, negative 42 equals negative 7 times 6. That's not what it's asking for. It's wanting you to have one number and one number, and they need to match. Okay? Number 3, what am I doing there? Yep, dividing both sides by 8. So then what is p equal to? 12. So what is 8 times 12? 96, which is exactly what I was looking for. Yes. Yeah. You can use your calculator on all of it. I guess you were talking at the beginning of the lesson when I went over that. Because I already went over that. Yes, ma'am. On both sides of the equal sign, that would be called a two-step equation. And we're going to learn that after we learn one steps. So that's when you'll be bringing in addition, subtraction, multiplication, division all in one problem. Yeah, but we're going to get there. But you won't have any of that until I teach you in a couple of days. All right, number 4, I've got n over 12, which what does that mean again? N divided by 12 equals 12. So if I want to get rid of that 12 so that I can solve for n, what am I doing? Good. I want to multiply both sides by 12. By multiplying by 12, what do I get on the left-hand side? N. And then what about on the right-hand side? Do you understand why my 12s cancel on the left-hand side? If you think about it, I'm multiplying 12 times n over 12. So how do I say 12 is a fraction? 12 over 1, right? So I'm saying 12 over 1 times n over 12. So when I cross simplify, my 12 cancel, correct? Or even if you don't cross simplify, you end up with 12n divided by 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. So that's why you're left with just an n. Okay. Yes. That's why this is always an understood 1n. But you don't necessarily need that 1 there. Alright, if I want to check it, that means I have what on the left-hand side? What am I writing? What? Yes, 144 divided by 12, and I want to make sure that that equals 12. Does it? Yep. Questions on any of that? Okay, this last one, I've got 18 equals t over 2, t over negative 2. So in order to solve for t, I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2. So it's negative 2 times 18. Negative 36. And then my negative 2's cancel each other out, so negative 36 is equal to t. And then to check it, that means I have 18 equals negative 36 over negative 2. Did I do it correctly? Yes. Negative 36 divided by negative 2 is 18. Questions on any of that? Sure? Flip over. Number 6, I have a decimal. Does it change anything? No. I am still dividing both sides by 0.6. So those still cancel each other out on the left. And what is 1.8 divided by 0.6? 0.3 or 3? Point trace. 0.3. So if I'm checking it, that means I have 0.6 times 0.3. And I want to see if it equals 1.8. What do we think? Yep. The next one is where it gets a little tricky. Not tricky, you just have to pull in a couple of different things that we've already learned. So number 7, I've got negative 3/4 k, which means negative 3/4 times k equals 12. So if I'm solving for k, what am I doing? Dividing by negative 3/4. So I know that I have a k on the left, right? On the right, I have 12 divided by a negative 3/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and, positive 12. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it horizontally so we don't mess up and get confused as to whether it's 12 over 3 divided by 4 or whatever, because it looks kind of funky like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put 12 as a fraction, so 12 over 1, divided by negative 3 over 4. How do I divide fractions again? Yep, keep change flip. So k equals 12 over 1. I'm keeping. I'm changing to multiplication, and I'm flipping negative 4 over 3. Can I cross simplify?
Yes.
Yes. My 12 and my 3 become a 4 and a 1. So now k equals 4 times negative 4, which is what? Negative 16. Questions on that? If I'm checking, that means I have negative 3/4 times negative 16. Remember, that's like a 16 over 1. If I cross simplify, that 4 becomes a 1 and the 16 becomes a negative 4. So negative 3 times negative 4 leaves me with what? Negative 3 times negative 4? Positive 12. 12 over 1 or positive 12, yes. So it does check out. So it just adds a little bit more spice to the problem. You got to remember to keep change flip. Of course, if you're plugging in your calculator, you do not necessarily have to keep change flip. But if you don't have a calculator, you know how to do it by hand. In a little bit. Yes, I'll lay it on. Questions on that? Yeah, let's skip down to number 9. Number 8 is just like that. You're dividing by 3/5, so you're going to have to keep change flip. Number 9, just like on our homework, if you can combine like terms, you need to do that first. So do you see any like terms that I need to combine?
Yes.
Yeah, my negative 5 and my negative 18. I need to go ahead and add those two together. So what do you get? Negative 23. So now I have a one-step equation that I know how to solve. How do I get m by itself? Kayla. Oh, sorry, yes. Slide it up. Thank you. So somebody said I'm multiplying. What am I multiplying by? Negative 3. Am I multiplying just one side or both sides? Both sides. So on the left, that cancels. Leaves me with an m. On the right, is it positive or negative? Positive. Negative times a negative gives you a positive. Do I need to check it? Yes. So I'm plugging it in. I have 69 over negative 3 equals negative 5 minus 18. I already know that negative 5 minus 18 is negative 23. But now I need to divide. So what do I get? Negative 23. Questions? Are we good? Okay. Your homework is in the book again.
Oh, yeah.
It is page 196, 12 through 40.